Hi, and welcome to this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric, Executive Director of Whitewater Community Television. Thank you very much for joining us for these conversations, repeat conversations without a doubt, but definitely important conversations. First up, we'll have a chance to speak with Sayward Salazar from Volunteers of America, Ohio and Indiana, talking about something that we have all come to really realize is incredibly important, and that's our mental health. We'll talk to her about that coming up here in just a little bit. In the second half of our show, we will go over a conversation that we had with Amy Fouche. She is chair of the committee that puts together the annual 4-H Fair Queens Pageant, which is actually going to be happening on the 15th of this month at 7 p.m. in Centerville High School's auditorium, where it has been held for a number of years. They did, during the pandemic, move it to the Coleman Center, but they are back in their home at Centerville High School. WCTV will once again be recording and re-airing that event, but it's always an exciting time for some of the young people in our community. So if you can get there and enjoy that, definitely do. And also, as we get to the end of this program, we'll talk about some of the events that are coming up at the Wayne County 4-H Fair, which is going to kick off on June 22nd. So enjoy this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV, Channel 11. I want to thank my guest for joining me today, Sayward Salazar, who is with Volunteers of America, Ohio and Indiana. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. Let's start with, because some people I know, I was not familiar with the name Volunteers of America. And when you told me just before we went on the air that this organization has a 100+ year history, I went, really?
Yeah.
Bring us up to speed a little bit on this.
Yeah, so Volunteers of America is a national nonprofit organization, and under that national nonprofit, we have smaller, organizations. So you've got VOA, OHIN. There's Michigan, Mid-States, Massachusetts, all over the country are VOA affiliates, but we're all under the bigger umbrella. VOA was created in the 1800s, late 1800s. It was part of the movement towards trying to pull people out of poverty, help people provide some services, because at that time there were no social services really. There was no food stamps, Medicaid, a lot of that stuff didn't exist.
Some people would say that's a good thing.
Some people might say that's a good thing until you saw the way that people lived and the fact that young children were dying because they didn't have health care or food because there was no one to be able to support them. So organizations like VOA and actually Salvation Army and the YMCA were all very early in coming into this work and helping people who were in poverty or who were disabled to be able to have a better quality of life. And actually VOA was created from the same family as Salvation Army. So they had a little bit different view on how things were going to be done, and so the families branched off and they each created their own social service organization.
Talk a little bit about your role with this organization and how long you've been there.
Sure. I am the Vice President of Behavioral Health Operations, and I've been with VOA for over 5 years now. I started as the Program Director in our location in Winchester, just about 30 minutes north of here, and then moved into a Senior Director of Operations role, and then from there became the Vice President.
I had a chance to, obviously before this conversation, look a little bit at your website, and I always go to kind of what we do.
Sure.
And when that opened up, I went, wow, because underneath it says veterans, mental health and recovery, criminal justice and reentry, housing. Talk a little bit about, just real briefly, a couple of those areas and what you all try to accomplish within that.
Sure. VOA's mission really is to go wherever we're needed and do whatever comes to hand. And so we're always looking for areas where maybe the service isn't being provided or we think that they need enhanced services. So VOA often serves a population of people that other organizations maybe aren't as comfortable serving or just haven't served. So we have veteran services both in Ohio and Indiana. We do a lot of work with homeless veteran populations, so trying to get them housed, jobs. I just came back from Gary, Indiana, where our veterans program works very closely with their veterans court. So as court hearings are happening, it's a problem-solving court. Our staff are there to support the veterans and be able to say, you know, hey, if you need a job, we can help you find a job. If you need housing, we can help you find housing. And we have housing complexes in Indiana and Ohio that house veterans. So,
Wow.
and we recently opened one in northern Indiana specifically for women veterans. So we're really focused on you know, trying to find a population that needs that service. We have reentry services both in Ohio and Indiana, and those are a lot of work release folks, people who are coming out of jail and prison and need to get back on their feet, start working, and be able to work through some programs, get some social services, some treatment, substance use treatment, and really working with that population. And when you're ready, I can talk about my programs. But there's one thing I do want to make sure everyone knows is that VOA is also supported by our thrift stores in Ohio. So much like Goodwill and Salvation Army, a lot of our programs, you know, they need that additional funding, and our thrift stores help support that funding. And so we have several thrift stores in Ohio, and there's a VOA OHIN eBay site.
Wow.
Yes, so you can find all kinds of wonderful things on eBay, and while you're shopping, you're supporting the services for veterans, you know, people with mental health and reentry programs.
Talk a little bit about what you specifically do and the area specifically that you focus on. And I appreciate the background on that, again, because it was not an organization that I'm familiar with. I'm sure a number of people are, but it's not one that maybe has touched a number of people in the community. So thank you for the background.
Yeah, and it can be confusing. You know, people are, you know, Volunteers of America, they're like, oh, you find volunteers. I'm like, no, we get paid. You know, in the 1800s, the word volunteer meant someone who works towards a mission. And so the word has changed a little bit over the years. So like, no, we work for VOA and we do get paid. It is a paid program. So I work for predominantly in Indiana over their behavioral health programs. So in Indiana, our biggest focus has been on pregnant women with substance use disorder. In 2015, VOA partnered with Department of Child Services, and we opened our first residential substance use facility that allowed pregnant women to come into our program and allowed women to bring their children into their program with them. So that meant that if a mom needed some long-term substance use treatment, residential treatment, so that's in a secure setting, they're living there, getting all of their treatment services there, a lot of women really struggled to leave their children at home, and they wanted to be able to say goodnight to them every night, read them a story, do all of those things that mothers love to do. So we created a program that allowed that relationship to continue and that bond to be strengthened by, you know, having them with them during their recovery period. After that one was really successful, that was in Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis. That was our first program. Then the second one was opened in Winchester in 2018. In Winchester, the building was part of the WINGS program, and so we were able to get the building at a price that was very reasonable for us, knowing that there would be a payment off at the end. We just paid that off, so we now officially own the building in Winchester. And so we've been up there since 2018. In 2019, we opened another location in Evansville, and in 2020, we opened a location in Columbus. So.
Talk a little bit about what that program looks like, because I'm sure there are people who are concerned about children around substance use recovery. And people with those problems. Talk a little bit about what that looks like and how the children are or can be insulated from some of that.
Yeah. So all of our programs are set up in two different phases. So our first phase is your traditional rehab. It's 30 days, give or take, depending on, you know, how engaged you are in treatment. And so they do their groups all day, every day. They're not leaving the building unaccompanied at all. They're doing their therapy, their case management. We drug screen our clients twice a week randomly, so we're always making sure that they're free of substances. And if they have their children with them while they're in group and they're doing their therapy and their case management sessions, we have a child watch room. So we have caring staff that will watch after their children, so they can kind of, be in group and not have to worry about what they're saying or if a kid is hearing it or any of those things. So it really allows them to focus on themselves during that group time and know that their kids are in a safe environment being cared for in the building.
Have you all seen that those mothers being able to leave that group and reconnect with their kids has been a positive for them and a positive for the kids because they don't have that separation?
Absolutely. Our number one goal is really to prevent any separation of mom and children, specifically during that really fragile, the first few months. We want moms to be able to bond with their infants because that lack of bonding can create issues farther along in their lives. So we want to make sure that they have that contact with their infant and they're able to care for their infant in a supportive environment. A lot of women, when they come home with a new baby, they have family or they have friends that are there to support them. A lot of our clients don't have family and friends that can support them. So when they come to our facilities, we're their support for them. If the baby won't sleep in the middle of the night, our staff will hold the baby for them so they can get some sleep. We're there to be that support for them. We're there to provide support for lactation services or making sure that their physical health needs are being taken care of and their mental health needs. So we really try to wrap around our clients while they're in our program with us.
Talk a little bit about, if you would, if you all deal with it, and I think you do because I saw that you all are getting a grant. Infant mortality rates are high in Indiana, and that may be an understatement depending on who's doing that look at. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about where you all are in trying to tackle or help that problem.
So VOA received a $2.8 million grant from the Anthem Foundation. And the purpose of the grant is to focus on a couple of different areas: C-section rates, low birth weight, substance use, and lactation, doula services, smoking cessation. So really trying to look at the things that may be, potentially leading to some of the issues that, moms and children are having in the state of Indiana, and trying to wrap around them so that they are getting the support during that period of time. So the program that we're rolling out and have created, it adds bookends onto the current program we already have. So we have residential and we do have some aftercare, but this enhances our aftercare services, and it also provides for screening of all pregnant women with a substance use disorder before they come to us. So we're trying to roll out this prenatal universal screening so that women, we can catch them earlier and provide that treatment for them while they're pregnant, and so that while they have their baby, they're already in recovery. We want to use an assessment called the 4Ps Plus. It's a substance use assessment that is specifically for pregnant women, and it is the only one that is reliable and valid. And so we're working.
What do you mean it's the only? Hold it. What do you mean it's the only one that's reliable and valid?
It is the only one that has any research, it's been tested, that it actually shows whether someone will have a substance use problem. There's a lot of tests out there. There's a lot of screenings out there. But the way that this one has been created, it's to start a conversation with our clients, and so that they don't feel stigmatized by the end of the conversation to say, yeah, I am drinking alcohol and I am pregnant. And then we can offer them help. And so it's been across the country. It's been used quite a few different places. California has used it. It's been used on Indian reservations quite a bit, and had a lot of success in being able to screen and identify women who need treatment early in their pregnancy. So we're able to get them into treatment. If they need medicated assisted treatment like Suboxone, Subutex, Methadone, we're able to get that on started before they're later in their pregnancy.
Talk about what keeps people from looking for help, from coming to an organization like yours. I know you've mentioned the word stigma a number of different times.
Yeah.
And I've noticed through the years, and I had this conversation with somebody a few years ago, the difference in the terminology of substance abuse and substance misuse. If you could talk about even how it is talked about now as opposed to even a decade ago or less.
Yeah. It's talked about very differently. I mean, I still think that women with substance use disorder who are pregnant and have children receive more stigma than anyone. Ball State's done some research on how women who have substance use disorder are treated in the OB delivery rooms because there's people don't really understand how could you use this drug and hurt your baby. It doesn't make sense. And the piece that people don't understand is how much of a sickness and illness this is and how it really just hijacks every part of your brain. And women will be crying and saying, like, I don't want to do this, but I can't stop this drug. I know that I'm pregnant. I know that I shouldn't be doing this, but I can't stop. And there's a lot of stigma when they walk into a doctor's office. And so I think a lot of women are very nervous to admit, yes, I've been drinking alcohol. Yes, I've been, using meth or other substances while I'm pregnant, because they're not sure how that's going to be received. And they're scared that their babies are going to be taken away. So our program really focuses on, making sure that moms know when they come to us that they don't, we don't treat them with that stigma, and we make sure that, they're respected and they have, every person has inherent worth and dignity. And regardless of the choices you've made in life, we're going to wrap around you and make sure that all of that, we care about you is basically what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
And the language has changed a lot. It used to be a dirty screen. Well, that makes it seem like people are dirty. And so it's a positive drug screen instead of a dirty screen. So a lot of those language pieces, it means a lot. And so we are really trying to shift that in a different direction to make sure that we're using, language that is compassionate and understanding, with empathy, knowing that this is a struggle for people. It's not something that people sign up for or choose to do.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're having a chance to have a conversation with Sayward Salazar, who is with Volunteers of America, Ohio and Indiana. As you look at aftercare,
Yes.
which is an important piece of this, because you can get somebody through a program and then a year later they're back where they were.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what your aftercare looks like and whether you can talk about success rates, things of that nature?
Yeah, so our aftercare plan, we do a home visiting model, or some people might, call it case management. So we follow up with our clients after they've been discharged, if they meet certain criteria. The nice thing about this Anthem grant is most of the women that are in our program will qualify to be able to get we call them family coaches. So they'll be able to qualify to get a family coach. They'll be able to go into their home, check in on them, see how they're doing, making sure they're making it to their appointments. If they're starting to feel like maybe I want to use again, it's very easy then for us to get them back into that residential program because we already have a connection with them. And the really great thing about this Anthem grant is it's not for people who have Anthem insurance. It's for anyone in the state of Indiana that needs this service. So we're able to provide that for anyone who needs it, regardless of who their insurance provider is. So that's been a really great opportunity for us to be able to do this. The other piece that's really important is we've had some women, unfortunately, that had some health problems after delivery. And most women don't see their provider until 6 weeks after they've delivered their baby. A lot can happen in that period of time. So we've added some nurses to our staff. So that's brand new for us. So our nurses will be able to go take vitals and visit women in the home and make sure that, they're feeling okay, or if there's any red flags, high blood pressure, things like that, that there is a medical person that will be able to connect them to a higher level of care if needed.
What don't we, the general public, understand about abuse and what we put people through when they're going through really what I think is a medical issue? Yeah.
There was a time when it was, cut people off. If we say we're not going to talk to them, if we don't let them in the house, if we, push them away, then they'll come out of their addiction and come back home because they're going to miss us so much that they're going to want to be there. So there's very much like this, we have to separate people. There's been a huge shift now, and really the opposite of addiction is recovery, right? That's what, or the opposite of addiction is connection. And so understanding that it's the connection, people knowing that they're loved and supported, people knowing, that when you're ready for treatment, we'll be here for you. We'll be able to support you. I mean, I think that is a huge shift that we're making now where, I always, this is something I always think about is, when people go to the hospital, we send them flowers.
Sure.
When people go to substance use treatment, they don't get flowers. They don't get cards. They don't get, good luck. They get nothing. Right. And so we really, although most people see it as a disease, they don't really see it as a disease in a lot of ways because we are still very punitive in how we treat people when they're trying to get through recovery.
We've got a couple of minutes left. I want to give you the floor because I could ask probably a lot of questions that don't necessarily make a difference.
Yeah.
Talk to our audience for a couple of minutes about what you feel like in this last couple of, we need to know, we need to hear, that we need to understand.
I think that something that we as a community need to understand is that when we lift people up, when we give them a purpose, they become a better member of our community. And I think a lot of negative attention is brought about, and we see a lot of negative comments about people who are in recovery or who are struggling. And I really think as a community, if we can make that shift away from, the negative language and the negative talk and really focus on what can we do to uplift this person? How can we support them? How can we make sure they have housing when they leave treatment? What about a job? Okay, you've got 3 felonies. You've got some possession charges. Who's going to hire you? And really start to look at ourselves as a community and question, have we created a place where people in recovery will be successful? Or have we created a place that still has a lot of stigma and we still need to work through a lot of that? And I think there's some great things happening in the community, but I really do think we could do a lot more to really uplift people and give them that purpose so when they are in recovery and they come back to our community, that they feel like they belong here and they don't feel ostracized. And the more that people talk about it too, there's a lot of prominent members in our community that share that they're in recovery and share what their story was like. And I think that's important for people to hear because recovery is possible. And, we need to support people through that period of time.
Will you come back and talk to us again?
Absolutely, because I didn't even talk about our program for men in Indianapolis.
All right. Then we are going to have you back in the not too distant future. Trust me.
Sounds like a plan.
Sayward Salazar with Volunteers of America, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for the work that you and the organization are doing. Looking forward to finding out more of what you all are doing and what you're doing in particular with this group.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll be back with more In Focus in just a couple of minutes.
Something that I think was ingrained in me growing up is that every person has value. But because of the stigma, they can't be honest about their lives and what's happened to them. Since 2002, I've been in the field of mental health. And when you are working in mental health, you are also working with addictions. You cannot silo yourself one or the other because there's always going to be a crossover. The area of the state that I work in is very rural. So we really serve a wide range of women, all ages, all levels of pregnancy. I believe for women and mothers, one of the biggest barriers is not being with their children. We can get them established with a provider. We can get them on some medicated assisted treatment if needed and make sure that that baby is healthy when baby's born. We're helping moms breastfeed. We're helping them with babies in the middle of the night. These are the things that we're doing because somebody did them for us. If you need me to sit with you while you cry, I'll sit with you while you cry. If you need me to hold your baby so you can take a shower because you haven't showered in 2 days, let me hold your baby, let me be there for you, and we're in this together. We get to see people at their worst, but we also have the privilege of seeing people at their best. Having, I think, clients say to us, nobody cared about me before. You guys care about me. And it becomes very personal for us. You know, I think a lot of women get the message of we have to do all. We have to be the perfect wife. We have to be the perfect mother. We have to have the career. And so there's all of this pressure put on us. And so when we fall down, sometimes we fall hard. One of the biggest misunderstandings of addiction is if we take everything important away from you, you will stop. And you can take all of that away, and that's just gonna make people worse. I haven't found a single person that has sat down and said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. We're punishing people with addiction and not always treating people with addiction. These are our friends and family. This is someone I went to high school with. This is my aunt, my child. Regardless of what they've done, we need to make sure that we're there for them when they're ready to come back and be part of this community. As communities, we need to be open to people who are in recovery, to put yourself in their shoes. Knowing what addiction is and how it functions and how it works will just help our overall community.
Know what's below. When planting flowers, a garden, or doing any type of digging on your property, RP&L wants you to call 811 before you dig. Electric, gas, water, sewer, cable lines, and more may be in your yard. Don't take the risk of digging blindly. It's free, only takes a few minutes, and can prevent inconvenient service outages, expensive repair bills, serious injury, or even death. That's why calling 811 before you dig is Indiana law. Know what's below.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan, program host for Let's Talk Together. Join us on our next episode where we will talk about Men's Health Month.
Probably undervalue the importance of diet in keeping that weight in check.
And the Reed Health Ortho Walk-In Clinic.
It's a wonderful benefit for the community.
Join us Thursday, 8 o'clock, WETV, Channel 20.
A spark, an invitation into the world of the unknown. It moves us to change, to grow. It asks us to dream bigger. An idea is better shared. It ignites us, and we make each other bright. We can do great things together.
Richmond Sanitary District curbside service in your neighborhood. Know the dings. Bag trash goes into your green rosy roller. Regular route drivers do not get out of their trucks to pick up bags and items left beside your green rosy roller. If you have larger items that do not fit in your green rosy roller, please call to schedule a special pickup, 765-983-7450. Clean, loose, unbagged recyclables go in your blue Ritchie roller. Plastic bottles and jugs, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and jars with lids removed. Newspaper, chipboard like cereal boxes and magazines should be placed on top of the blue Ritchie roller tied. Corrugated cardboard has the wavy layers. It must be clean, no pizza grease, folded and broken down to slide easily out of the container when picked up to be emptied by the truck. Questions on the curbside containers? Please call Debbie Tevis at 765-983-7456. Richmond Sanitary District. Our goal is to grow.
Welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric, Executive Director of Whitewater Community Television. Thank you very much for staying with us. I have with me Amy Fouche, who is chair of the Wayne County 4-H Fair Queens Pageant. Long title.
Yes.
How's that worked out for you through the years?
We've abbreviated.
Okay. I'm curious, Amy, thanks for being here. Really do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the 4-H Fair Queens Pageant. We've talked a lot about 4-H on Whitewater Community Television through the years. We have spent weeks at the fair, and we have recorded the Wayne County 4-H Fair Queens Pageant for a number of years.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your background in 4-H. I've found that a number of people that are involved in these have a background, were 4-Hers. Do you fit that bill also?
I do. I was a 10-year 4-Her. My grandmother was my 4-H club leader along with my aunt. When they decided to give up the club, then I took over that club and was a 4-H leader for 14 years.
What club was that?
It was the Webster Wonder Workers.
Okay, I remember hearing that name through the years.
And I have just inherited that club back. This is my second year being their club leader again, so I've got that club back. I was a director for 2 terms, and then I now serve on the fair committee and have been on the fair committee more years than I can probably remember now. And the Queen Committee is a subcommittee of the Fair Committee. So
I want to talk a little bit before we get particularly into the Queen's Contest, which is really what we're here to talk about mostly. But talk about 4-H, what it did for you, why as an adult you've come back to it and volunteered as much time as you have, not only with the Queen's Pageant, but as you mentioned, with the Webster Wonder Workers.
Right. I mean, the 4-H program is designed to help educate and develop kids in situations that they are, especially now, not getting in schools. I mean, the cooking, the home ec, the building things, the crafts, those types of things are kind of becoming a lost art, so to speak. So we have several kids that come into the program and they only may do it for a year or 2, and then you'll get those diehards that are there for 10 years because my grandma did it and my grandma did it and all of those things. So it's a interesting group of kids that are 4-Hers because of the bonds that they build with each other, especially those livestock kids, because it's not just my animal, but that animal belongs to everybody in the barn. And it's amazing to see them and how some of these young kids act so much older than they are because they have an animal that they have to take care of, and that is their responsibility, and they have to go out and show that animal. So, but because of all of that, there is a misunderstanding that 4-H is only designed for county kids. And that is absolutely not the case. I lived in Richmond my entire 10 years as a 4-Her. I tried to show, but because of allergy reasons, could not show animals.
Okay.
But I became the arts and crafts, the foods, health and safety, all of the different types of projects that, you create things, you make poster boards. It's special. It's like doing a special project in school. It's a healthy, competitive atmosphere because not everybody is going to win the big prize, but there's lots of first places and there's lots of second places, and you get an opportunity to learn from other kids. Most kids are more than happy to exchange how they got to the project that they did, how much time they spent on a project. You're never going to win if you start the night before.
Right.
But if you start at Christmas, you got a better chance.
We have marveled, and I have marveled through the years when I've had a chance to really kind of have a conversation with a lot of the 4-H students through the years, the maturity level that you're talking about, their dedication, how much time they put into it, their understanding of what their animals need and how much love, how much care, and what they need to do.
Yes.
And I mean, I've seen kids so tall,
Yes.
With really big animals, and they work that.
Yes. And there's lots of tears on auction days. Especially when they've had that animal since birth and they've cared for it and everything. It's amazing, and our queens are involved in all of that happens out at the livestock barn, and we are very well aware of those little kids with the bigger animals and who is comfortable with what type of animal. So they learn a lot, even though they may not be an animal shower type 4-Her. they learn how to respect that animal by the end of the fair week.
Talk a little bit about what got you involved with the Queen's Contest. Was that something that you did while you were in 4-H?
I did not. I had some family that participated in it, but I was never one to jump out and want to be that type of ambassador for our fair. But being on the fair committee, at the time I was the treasurer, so going and participating at the contest and just watching. And there were just some things that we felt that we could improve on. Had helped judge some other contests, so I was picking up other ideas from other contests, so we thought, let's just give this a shot. So I went on the first year, and after a couple of years, it just slowly transitioned that I became the leader. And
gotta love those slow transitions, don't you?
Yes. So we had made some adjustments at the beginning when I was in there. All we focused on was our queen category. We took that and decided that we were missing an opportunity from our little Mr. and Miss contest that happens the week of the fair that ends at 6 years old. We were missing all of those girls from 6 years old to 16. So we decided that we were going to have our different other age divisions, and that has worked out amazing. Most of the girls that have been in that queen category have started when they were juniors and have stayed through the pageant.
Talk a little bit about what the divisions are that young people can be involved in terms of this particular pageant, because we just saw on the screen some of the younger division.
Yes. So our junior division starts 7, 8, and 9-year-olds, and then we have our preteens, which are 10, 11, and 12. Our teen division is 13, 14, and 15, and then our queen division starts at 16 to 20.
The young men are not completely left out of this, though. We
They
call
are
this a
not.
Queen's pageant.
Correct.
But there's something for the young men, too.
Yes, we have had a young gentleman has participated in the queen contest a couple of years. He was our junior king, a couple of years ago, and then he came back and was part of our queen contest last year. His sash does not say queen on it; it said king. We have not changed our name to associate the young gentleman in our group. Same way State Fair just came out this year, where they changed their name to kind of represent that. They are now the State Fair program instead of State Fair Pageant. Okay. They are anticipating on pins and needles, waiting for that first guy to, grace the stage, and it's probably coming. I mean, there's some growing interest in it just because of what it represents, not necessarily just the crown and sash, which is what we kind of promote with our girls too.
Talk a little bit about what they learn in this, and one of the reasons that we're talking about this is the deadline for entering this year's event is beginning to come up.
Yes.
I mentioned commencement. We are rapidly moving toward the summertime when the fair is going to happen. So talk about what we're looking at in terms of dates first.
So our deadline is May 19th. That is actually our orientation day, so we will take walk-ins and paper applications on that day. The reason we do a deadline is because we have the girls pull their contestant numbers. The last thing we want is someone dropping out that's contestant number 2. But we also are promoting the fact that the sooner you do something, the better it is to plan ahead. Don't wait till the last minute. Okay. There are some situations where people just don't know, hadn't heard, didn't know where to find information. So we do have those deadlines out there. But that also only gives us about 3 weeks to prepare for our contest with that May 19th, because our contest is June 15th. So in that time frame, we are creating bags for every girl. We are hosting 4 workshops where they learn how to do their walking, what's expected for them to wear, practicing interviews, running through the whole evening of what that looks like. And we do 4 because as you said, with graduation, we have soccer, we got volleyball, we got baseball and softball, all these events going on.
There's a lot of active young people in this community.
Absolutely. Most of the time, even out of those 4 practices, we're always missing. So we don't have all the girls until the day of the contest, the one shot walkthrough, and that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
What do they learn from this? Because it is, and I've seen it even watching from the earlier the rehearsal that day until that evening. Talk about what these young people learn in terms of holding themselves and what some business leaders would call the soft skills.
Right. So usually the first thing I always ask the girls at orientation is to look around and see if there's anybody there that they know. There is always at least a handful of girls that don't know somebody because they're from a smaller school or a larger school, and they just don't know. So I always say by the time the Queen Contest gets here, I guarantee you will have a new best friend. Everybody is there to help, so we build that friendship. I always say, the little sister, big sister persona, especially the week of the fair. But we're also teaching them, one of the categories that they're all judged in is what they wear. And it's not about what they're wearing, it's how they present themselves as they wear it. You can always tell the outfit that mom's picked out that they hate, or the outfit that they love that mom's like, maybe not. But you can tell the difference in their personality between what they wear. They do ask us on occasion if this is appropriate. We talk about all the time about being age appropriate. Don't wear certain things just because you can. It needs to look good on you because of your age. We talk about makeup. We talk about jewelry, about how to sit, making sure your skirt and dress is long enough, those types of things. Another category that all the girls are judged on is interview skills. So as difficult as it is to sit here and do interviews, we expect the 7-year-olds to also do that. But they do it one-on-one, and they are judged on how they communicate, not necessarily what the answers are. Can they continue talking, or do you have to keep prompting them for information? And a lot of those questions are very simple, like what is your favorite subject in school and why? Who has been your favorite teacher? And then as the girls get older, of course, those questions change. They, instead of your favorite teacher, it may be that question, but why have they influenced you the most? So it just keeps on adding. So these young girls that start at juniors and work their way up to that queen category, they are really getting a huge benefit because they keep doing it. And even the ones that don't win, they keep coming back. There is a benefit to what they're getting. And there have been some parents over the years where they're, running other kids, so they're dropping kids off at the door, and we don't see mom until the week of the fair. And they're like, my daughter, she used to be so quiet and so introverted, and now she just talks up a storm. So those, there's been a lot of great stories. Most of the time when we come out at the end of the week, we're all like, oh my gosh, it's just been a crazy week trying to get ready for Queen Contest. And it's just that one story, how we've changed someone's life completely on just giving them the ability to be the queen, just to be a queen and promote the fair. And, the week of the fair, when they're there, we expect them to dress differently than the rest of the fair goers. Most of the time, if they're there to hand out ribbons and sash or trophies, we expect them to be in some kind of more not as casual.
Right.
We want them to stand out for a reason. Of course, it always rains fair week, so we are okay with jeans and cowboy boots on those days, but for the most part, we want those girls to stand out for lots of reasons. Even our young girls...
They're examples at that point. They're
Absolutely.
role models at that point.
Yes. Even the little girls get stopped. Can I get my picture taken with you? My daughter was a junior queen a couple of years ago, and then the queen that followed her seen her at the the fair, and my daughter was handing out things, and she told her mom, the other young lady, "Mom, I could never do that. She is so beautiful. She's so outgoing." Well, Gracie came back the following year, and she won that category. So she got to become what my daughter was. And it's just really great to be able to help teach these girls as they get older, and the queens then are into additional things that they get judged on. They have to do what we used to do, an impromptu question. Again, State Fair changed that, and the queen category, we base our contest off of what State Fair does, for the sole purpose of we don't want there to be any surprises for them when they go to State Fair. So we mirror
Another
what
one
State
of
Fair.
the benefits.
Yes. So so they went to an impromptu word. They are given a word, and they have to, whatever comes to mind, the first thing, whatever that means to them. Mm-hmm. They also have to do a 1-minute speech. That changed, and it has been a little heartwarming to hear what some of these girls have to say. We used to give them a topic so that the range wasn't so wide, but we've kind of skimmed back on that and just let them speak whatever speaks to them. Okay. They have put us in tears many times over how they perceive the contest, what they get from the contest, getting the encouragement to do things that maybe they wouldn't have normally done. There are 9 of us on the committee, and there isn't one of us that probably hasn't spoken to that one girl that is terrified that you can do this. If we need to be at the end of the floor, and so you're walking here and walking, we'll do that. We will absolutely 100% do that. By the night of the contest, they don't need us there anymore. They have got enough confidence about them to be able to do that. And it's great when those girls that you think they probably won't come back, those are the girls that come back. And it's great. It is.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're spending time with Amy Fouche, who is chair of the Wayne County 4-H Fair Queens Pageant, or it may be changing its name somewhere down the line to match with what's going on at the State Fair. The Queens Pageant is happening. The deadline for providing information or registration again is
May 19th.
And the contest is happening
June 15th.
And that is going to be at Centerville Senior High School again,
Yes.
where it has been for a number of years. Information or the application can be found where?
So we have a Facebook page, Miss Wayne County, can be found on there. We also have a website, and it's much longer. It's Wayne County 4-H Fair Queen. And then you can also contact the Extension office. They have my cell number and my direct email, and we're happy to email them out.
One of the things that someone is going to ask is, what is the financial commitment for a family, generally speaking, into this, into being part of the pageant, into buying whatever clothes they need, that type of thing?
We do have a registration fee. The registration fee does increase the closer to the deadline we get, again, to help with, we want the girls to learn to do sooner the better than later. But it ranges, I think the oldest with the girls in the queen category right now, it's like $40. The younger ones is $10. So that helps pay for crowns, sashes, boxes, flowers, just all the stuff that we need for contest day. As far as like their attire, we tell them don't go out and buy anything new. I'm starting to lose my voice. They are welcome to borrow from each other. They can hand-me-downs, sister, mom, if they can, as long as it is age appropriate. We don't want something that's not. We've had girls hit Goodwill for their suits. We've had them get hand-me-down formal dresses. So it's just a matter of what they want to put into it, but we don't expect them to go all crazy.
We're a little bit under 4 minutes, so we're close to the end of this. What we haven't asked you to talk about is, what are the responsibilities? If they win this pageant, there's the queen, there's the first alternate, the queen has her court. What are some of the responsibilities that they have?
So we sit down the Tuesday after the contest, and we go through, if they are still in 4-H and they are showing livestock, we certainly work around that schedule, but they are not allowed to wear their crown and sash anytime that they are showing a 4-H project, because they need to look look like every other 4-H'er. Otherwise, when they are what we call on duty, they are handing out ribbons, trophies. Our queen goes to the car show. We help with Kicks 96's Wayne County Idol.
Wayne County Idol, yes.
We are all over the fairgrounds doing different events where they're interacting with other small children. Most of the time you will find them in barns. Most of the time they're in pairs of 2. If there's a third one, it's because they wanted to come along and just have fun for the day, but typically it's always at least in a pair of 2.
Okay. We're under 3 minutes. The time continues to tick by.
Yep,
I told you this
you're
was going to
good.
be really pretty quick.
Yes.
Is there anything that I have not yet asked you about that you want to make sure the community knows, understands about being 4-H, being part of the Queen's Pageant, the deadlines, anything of that nature that you really want to reiterate?
Well, I will say that our community has been very nice and helpful about offering donations to our queen. Our queen does get a $500 scholarship. If you go to other counties, sometimes they don't have that opportunity. So there is a little bit of financial backing that the girls do get for having that position. Again, once you win that category that you're in, you can't win it again. But we do allow the girls to still come back and participate in their category, knowing that they can't win, just for the experience of it all. But our girls have been out in the community. Our current queen was part of the Hagerstown parade for the eclipse. So we try to be out as much as possible to promote 4-H. I always tell the girls it's not about the crown and sash. It makes you pretty, but it doesn't explain what we're doing. So it's just, it's to draw attention, but that's not what we're all there for.
Real quickly, we're under a minute. You'd mentioned that there are 9 people on your committee.
Yes.
Are you continuing to look for volunteers, need help? And if so, how does, again, someone contact you and become a part of this?
Well, to be on the fair or on the committee, you have to go through certain things through Purdue Extension and background checks and all of these things through Purdue. So our group of 9 isn't just, you can just come and join us and be part of the committee. We have to go through protocol because we are dealing with younger children, underage children. But we definitely can use volunteers the day of the contest. We still have people with issues with parking. We have ticket takers, trash pickup, those types of things. So again, they can just reach out to the extension office and they're happy to give out my number.
All right. Amy Fouche, Chair of the Wayne County 4-H Fair Queens Contest, thank you very much for the work that you've done through the years with the contest and the pageant, for working with Whitewater Community Television as we try to bring that to the community. And thanks for being here with me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks again to my guests for appearing on In Focus this week. Sayward Salazar from Volunteers of America, Ohio and Indiana. And also thanks again to Amy Fouche from the Wayne County 4-H Fair Queens Pageant Committee. We need to thank our sponsors. Once again, Whitewater Community Television will be spending some time out at the Wayne County 4-H Fair. It's always a fun week for us. We always gain a little weight. We always get our steps in as we walk the fairgrounds and get to enjoy the food, the rides, and particularly the 4-Hers. We really want to encourage you not just to enjoy the livestock that's there, but also what Alicia calls the non-walking projects that you can find inside the Coleman Center, which is where Whitewater Community Television will be set up for a few days as we record our In Focus at the Fair program. We want to thank First Bank Richmond, as well as Cronin Toyota and Cronin Nissan for sponsoring our efforts to cover the Wayne County 4-H Fair this year. Also want to remind you, a lot of things with the fair are weather related, so you really want to keep up with the weather. If you have not downloaded Nixle to your device, whatever it is that you carry around with you, you might want to be able to do that. You can go to the Wayne County Emergency Management site in order to find that, or you can go to Nixle, Nixle.com, and get that information. If you want to know about what's happening at the Wayne County 4-H Fair, you can go to WayneCo4HFair.com. Some of the events that are going to be taking place at the Wayne County 4-H Fair, once again, want to remind you that the Queen's Pageant is going to be taking place on the 15th at 7 p.m. Centerville High School. If you want more information on that, wc4hqueen@gmail.com. It's always a great time. Definitely go and enjoy that, and we will have a chance to speak to the Queen and some of her court as we go through our coverage during that week. Some things that are going to be happening at the Wayne County 4-H Fair, which opens on Saturday, June 22nd. Obviously, you can meet the Queen in her court there at 4 p.m. At 7 p.m., there's also dirt drag racing. You definitely want to check that out. There is a movie, Outdoors, DC League of Super Pets. But one of the things I really want to spotlight is Poor Jack Amusements is going to open up at the Wayne County 4-H Fair at 6 p.m. on the 22nd. If you follow the fair for years, that's a change. Normally, Poor Jack Amusements opens that Monday, but Poor Jack Amusements is going to be available that first weekend, that Saturday night, the 22nd, from 6 p.m. till 11 p.m. And then on Sunday, you can find Poor Jack Amusements open from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday is also the Bluegrass and Gospel event. There's the Little Miss and Mr. contest at 1 o'clock, which is always cute, from 3 to 7, Bluegrass and Gospel. And then Billy Bale's Memorial Horse Pull. The events in the tractor pull and the track events are always a whole lot of fun and draw a whole lot of people. As we move into Monday, live broadcast from one of our media partners, Kicks 96 and 101.7 The Point. They'll be broadcasting live between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. There's a car show that's always a good time starting at 5 p.m. Once again, Poor Jack Amusements from 6 till 11. And then Antique Tractor Parade happens most days around 6. And the Truck and Tractor Pull is the big track event taking place at 7 o'clock on Monday the 24th, which is Ag Day. As we head into Tuesday, it's Emergency Public Service Day from beginning at 5 p.m. There'll also be a blood drive happening in the Coleman Center from 4 until 8:30. Poor Jack Amusements, once again, from 6 until 11. And the Hoosier State Tractor Pull is going to kick off at 7 p.m. that evening. Again, if I'm running through some of these pretty quickly, WayneCo4HFair.com is where you want to be able to go to get some of this information. Heading into Wednesday, it's the Kicks 96, 101.7 The Point Idol. Once again, it's the semifinals of that particular event, the Antique Tractor Parade, and then the 3-Bar J 7-event rodeo is going to be happening at 7 p.m. Heading into Thursday, it's Kids Day from 1 to 5 with an armband special. Dirt drag racing taking place at 7 p.m. It's Thrifty Thursday and it's Kids Day, Silly Safari, and a whole lot of other great events are going to be going on that evening. If you're at home, you'd be sure to tune in to WGTV Channel 11 as we'll kick off our In Focus at the Fair show that weekend. Friday, the 4-H Livestock Auction begins at 11 o'clock. Alex Miller is going to be on at 7:30 on the free stage. Also, Mud Bog at 7 p.m. and a fireworks display at night. And on Saturday, it's the finals of the Kicks 96, 101.7 The Point Idols contest. That's taking place at 5 p.m. And Poor Jack Amusements opens at 6 o'clock, and always a fun time. They get excited around here for the Demolition Derby that will be taking place that evening at 7 p.m. Don't forget, if you've missed any of the information in this show, you can see replays beginning tonight at 10:30, also Friday night at 8, Saturday 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., Sunday 8 a.m. and 1 p.m., and audio of the program can be heard on G1013 and their sister station ESPN Radio, 1490 AM, 100.9 FM, WKBV. Thank you very much for watching this week's In Focus on WGTV Channel 11. We hope you have a great time. Definitely come out and see us as we are going to be hanging out at the fair. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I wish you well.